Runewords are absolutely overpowered, both for a normal playthrough and for the endgame. Today I will show you exactly which runewords are worth making as you progress through normal, nightmare and hell using only runes that you can get from the Countess. To begin, normal. The Countess can drop runes from L to Ral in normal difficulty. The most commonly used runeword in the early game is by far Stealth. It gives you 25 faster cast rate, 25 faster hit recovery, and 25 faster run walk, so it's very good for everybody. This runeword is probably the best upgrade you will get early on, and it's very easy to make with only Tal and F. And it's very important to mention that you generally don't have to farm for the bases. You can buy most bases that you need from Farah in Act 2 or even Charcy in Act 1, but only in normal difficulty. After Act 2, vendors will only sell magic items and you can't make runewords in these. Another very good runeword is Leaf. It gives 3 to fire skills with 3 to Firebolt, Inferno and Warmth, with 2 mana after each kill. This is amazing for a low level sorceress but also very strong for fire warlocks. The runes that you need are only Tyr and Ral, so you should be able to make this item in more or less 5 runs. Now for a very defensive one, Ancient's Pledge. This gives a ton of resist with 43 cold and 48 fire, light and poison resist, with 10% of damage that goes to mana on top of it. And yes, Ort runes can't drop from the Countess, but the drop rate for Ral is approximately 1 in 3.2 runs, and you can cube 3 Rals to make 1 Ort, so you can easily make this runeword in more or less 10 Countess runs. And the last very strong runeword in normal difficulty is a little bit more niche, Zephyr. Unfortunately for Amazons, bows and crossbows are absolutely terrible early on in the game, and Zephyr is very good compared to everything else that you can get around level 21. The base damage will not be very high, but the 1 to 50 light damage with the 25 increased attack speed will make a huge difference in your power output. This also requires an Ort rune, but again, you can easily cube one in more or less 10 Countess runs. Now, Nightmare difficulty. Nightmare Countess can drop up to Yo rune. A very strong weapon runeword is Honor. 160 enhanced damage can boost your damage by a very large amount if you're using a strong base. It also gives 1 to all skill with 7 lifesteal, which is very good for melee characters. And not only that, but you have 25% chances of deadly strike, which doubles your damage. It only takes Am, L, Eth, Tyr, and Soul, which are all pretty easy to find from the Countess. And one of the best bays you can use is a Naga, which should be very simple to find in Nightmare. By far the best runeword you can start making in Nightmare is the weapon version of Spirit. 2 to all skills with faster cast rate, with very good bonus to vitality and a huge bonus to mana. This is an absolutely overpowered runeword and you will probably use it until you find your best in slot weapon. The best place in the game to farm for the base is the cow level in normal difficulty. If you find a normal crystal sword, broadsword or longsword in the normal cow level, you can bring it to Larzok and you will get 4 open sockets automatically. And the runes that you need are Tal, Tul, Ort, Am, which you can get from the Countess in a very short time. And talking of time, it would now be an amazing time for you to take a second and click on the subscribe button. It would be amazing to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this season, which will end in a few weeks. Thank you so much for your support. Now a very simple and good runeword to make, especially for casters, is Lore. It gives 1 to all skills with 10 energy and 2 mana after each kill. You only need Ort and Soul, which are very quick to find from the Countess, and since you will use this on a caster, the base is not very important, and you can simply get one from Charcy or Farah in normal difficulty. An extremely useful runeword you can make is Rhyme. You need a shield with 2 open sockets, which is quite easy to find, and it gives 25 all resist and 25 magic find, which is very good, but most importantly, the can't be frozen stat, which is quite difficult to get early in the game. And you only need a Shile and a Neth runes, which are both quite easy to find. A very strong but niche runeword is the new runeword for warlocks. Authority. It gives 2 to warlock skills with enhanced damage between 40 and 60, which is extremely good, especially for the Echoing Strike spec. It requires Hell, Shile, and Ral runes, which are all very easy to get from the Countess, and since you don't really need defense on a warlock, you can simply get a base from Farah in normal difficulty. Another very niche but extremely strong runeword is White for Necromancers. 3 to poison and bone skills with 3 to bone armor, 2 to bone spear, and 4 to skeleton mastery, with 20 faster cast rate. You only need Dole and Yule runes, which are both quite simple to find from the Countess, and you can find the base from Drognen in Act 2 normal difficulty. What you're looking for is basically a normal bone wand with 2 open sockets and 3 to bone spear skills. And if you want to spend a few hours shopping, you can even look for other skills on top of it. Also, if you find a good normal bone wand base from Drognen but without sockets, you can bring it to Larzok to get 2 sockets on it. In total, you would get 8 to bone spear, which is a crazy strong bonus for a single item. Now, one of the most commonly used runeword in the game, Insight. This is mostly used on Act 2 mercenaries for the meditation aura, which gives a huge bonus to mana regeneration. On top of it, it gives very high enhanced damage, which can make your mercenary very powerful if you make this rune word in a strong base. It only requires Ral, Tyr, Tal, and Soul runes, which again are very easy to get from the Countess. And since the runes are very easy to find, I suggest you make this rune word in the first base that you find to get the meditation aura as soon as possible, and to simply remake it whenever you find a stronger base. Also, this can be a very strong rune word for Echoing Strike Warlocks. Just be sure to use a pole arm because it will not work in spears. And since patch 2.4, you can also make this rune word in a bow and a crossbow. And yes, this is a very strong option for Boazons. And the last rune word for Nightmare, something else for Amazons. Peace. It gives 2 to Amazon skills, which is very good, but the most important stat is the 2% chance to cast level 15 Valkyrie on striking. This level 15 Valkyrie is extremely useful. It's super strong and will be able to tank pretty much everything that is in front of it. So you will be able to stand back and attack your target from a distance very easily. I made a Boazon video a few months ago, and this rune word made the run much easier. It only requires Shal, Tul, and Amn, and since you don't really need defense, you can use any base you find from Farah in normal difficulty. And now, Hell. Hell Countess can technically drop up to an Ist rune, but the drop rate is approximately 1 in 287 runs, which is quite a lot of runs, so let's limit ourselves to runes that have a drop rate of 1 in 200 runs or less. The highest rune we will use for this video is Mal, which has a drop rate of 1 in 191 runs. To begin, one of the easiest one to make for your mercenary, Smoke. It only requires Nef and Lum runes, and it gives a huge bonus of 50 all resist. Make this rune word in the base with the highest defense that you find, and ideally F. And the only rune word that has to come in this list twice, Spirit, but the shield version this time. I have to include this one in the Hell difficulty because Monarchs can only drop in Hell. And while the weapon version of Spirit gives bonus to elemental damage and lifesteal, the shield version gives 35 cold, light, and poison resist, but pretty much everything else is the same. And yes, ideally, you should use both. Having a Spirit weapon and a Spirit shield would make your Hell playthrough and even the endgame much easier. A very strong rune word for characters doing lightning damage is Crescent Moon. The only very important stat on here is the minus 35 enemy light resist. It makes this rune word extremely strong on the Nova Sorceress and the Trap Assassin. It requires Shal, and Tyr, so it might take a few hundred runs to find them, but believe me, it's worth it. Another very powerful rune word for weapons is Harmony. If you play Boazon and you struggle in the Hell difficulty, Harmony will be a game changer. It gives very high bonus to enhance damage with a total of 165 to 480 elemental damage on top of it, so it's very strong on a Straphazon. And level 10 Vigor Aura increases your run speed by 36%. You need Tyr, Ith, Sol, and Co to make it, so you should be able to make it pretty quickly. I made one in my Boazon video and it made the rest of the run much easier. Now a very good rune word for armors, Duress. It gives 40 faster hit recovery with very nice resist, but most importantly, some chances of crushing blow and open wounds, which can both be very useful. It also requires an rune, which can be pretty long to find, but if you manage to find an you should absolutely consider making this armor. An extremely strong and very often overlooked rune word is Wisdom. This is one of the best rune word in the game for Amazons and through barbarians. 33% attack with bonus to attack rating, mana steal, mana after each kill, and most importantly, the much needed Can't Be Frozen stat. You need a pull rune to make it, so it might take a few Countess runs before you find one, but once you do, this rune word will be a game changer. Another amazing rune word, especially for barbarians, is Oath. It can roll between 210 and 340 enhanced damage, so it can boost your damage output by a very large margin. And the fact that it has the indestructible stat makes it possible to make this rune word in an Eth weapon, making your damage even higher. This is a very strong weapon for Berserk barbarians and shapeshifting druids, but it requires Shal, Pull, Mal, and Lum runes, so it might take quite some time before you're able to make it. And now one of the best rune word you can make in a playthrough for your mercenary. Treachery. The 45 increased attack speed is very good to boost your mercenary's damage and survivability, especially if he has lifesteal on other items, and a level 15 Fade lasts about 5 minutes and gives 60 all resist and 15% physical damage reduction, which makes your mercenary extremely tanky. This rune word can also be used on a Smiter Paladin to proc Fade before fighting the Ubers, and it only requires Shal, Tul, and Lem runes, which should not take too much time to find. And that's it. That video was a lot of fun to make, and I hope it was also fun to watch. If you liked this video, I have a lot more informative videos coming, so be sure to subscribe to not miss any future uploads. Massive thanks to the channel members for supporting the channel. If you would like to support, please click on the join button. I have 3 different tiers which all give the same perks, so you can feel free to join with any amount that you want. Thank you very much for your support, and thanks to everyone for watching this video until the end, and as always, happy grinding.